Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. We're continuing our read through of Brandon Sanderson's The Way of Kings. We're up to chapter 37 entitled Sides. This is a flashback to 5.5 years ago, and Kaladin is washing some vegetables for their meager family dinner because of Roshone, the Brightlord's continual efforts to essentially force Lirin to give him those spheres that he claims he stole from the former Brightlord Wistio. Kaladin had heard that his father had been summoned to a meal at the Brightlord's home, and sneaks out and is able to accompany his dad, Lirin, up to the mansion. His dad lets him come. And so they walk in, very, very somber, very dark home, and they walk into the dining room where everything is faintly lit. There's essentially just a few spheres on the actual dining table. And they sit down. Lirin is initially sent over to sit by himself, but he forces his way to the main table and sits down across from Roshone. And they begin to have a little bit of a back and forth, sort of spatting, sort of veiled insults back and forth. And Kaladin gets a little bit too vocal. He's the son, he's the child. And so his father sends him away into the kitchen. And he's pretty upset about that. He actually starts kind of tearing up just because of the emotion. Because when he was sent away, Roshone had made some type of offer. How about we make a deal by you keeping some of the spheres and I'll take some of the spheres and we'll call it even. And his father didn't initially just protest it. And so Kaladin gets sent away thinking his dad is going to fold, and he is just disgusted and upset. Well, he's in the kitchen and the chef had made him some food. And he brought him out a meal, and it was a meal for essentially a child. And that just even adds insult to injury. So he's sitting there, and Roshone's son, comes in, and he is snobbish. And Lirin comes in behind him, and she, of course, was the girl that Kaladin grew up with. They were very good friends, and actually Lirin and Hesina, his mom, wanted him to marry her. And so seeing her again after these years just kind of brings back all those emotions. She's now grown. She's not a full-grown woman, but she is certainly an older teenager like Cal would be. And Kaladin stands and nods and bows to her, does everything respectful that he should. Well, he and Relir get into a back and forth, much like their fathers are currently. And Relir just really runs circles around Kaladin. He tells him to get him his food, and he says, that's not my job. Oh, well, what is your job? I'm going to be a surgeon. Well, I thought surgeons help people, and I need help. So go get me my food. And Kaladin just gets really flustered. Lirin finally talks him down, and they go on. And Kaladin's now even more upset. His dad comes and gets him, and they're riding back in silence. And Kaladin just sort of verbally vomits everything that he's been thinking. Like, I don't want to be a soldier anymore. I want to be a physician, and I want to prove to these light eyes that we are good enough. And Lirin is just kind of like, you were planning on becoming a soldier? That was news to me, says he. And so Kaladin says, I was, but that was the desire of a child. I'm going to grow up now as a man, and I want to become a physician, a surgeon who helps people. I want to be trained in Cabranth, though I'm sure now we won't have enough money for it. And Lirin looks at him and says, like questioning, like, oh, you thought I gave away the money? And he says, you didn't? He says, no, I did not. I went there to prove a point that I wanted to appear as if I was desperate, to make Roshone think that I'm on the edge, and he just needs to give me a little bit more time, because I've discerned and figured out that he has made a lot of political mistakes, and he is losing money and losing connection quickly. And if I can convince him that we are on the verge, he will wait, which is what he can't afford to do. And then I'll return again and see if we can interact on a more level playing field. Well, Kaladin's listening to what his father said, and he thinks through it. Kaladin said, "You need to make him think that we're capitulating, or that we're close to doing so that he'll stop looking for ways to undermine us, so he'll focus his attention on making a deal and not..." And something clicks in Kaladin's mind, that his father also wants Roshone to get distracted by the greed and stop thinking and looking back at the original details, because Kaladin figures it out. "You did steal the spheres, didn't you, Father?" And his dad has to let him know that, yes, I did steal the spheres. Though I told Roshone that he had given them to me, though Wistio had promised that he would treat our family well, I knew that new Brightlord, I couldn't trust him without knowing him, and even if I did, I still probably wouldn't. He said, which proved to be true. Kaladin, though, is like, "You stole. That changes everything." And Lirin is pushing back like, "Does it really change everything? We're still in the same position. Wistio promised to treat us well, and look, I made sure that his promise actually came to fulfillment." Chapter kind of ends with Kaladin sort of accepting it, but still deciding that he wants to be clever enough. He wants to go be trained so that he can stick it to the Light Eyes. And one of the things that he wants to begin changing is that he wants to start going by his full name, Kaladin. No longer does he want to be called like the child nickname Cal that he had. He wants to be a man. And Lirin ends the chapter by saying, "Very well, Kaladin." So Kaladin had a little bit of, the chapter's entitled Sides, and Cal has seemingly chosen his side. He is going to choose the side of a physician. He wants to help people. He wants to morally be the one in the right. And his foundation definitely was shaken there, because the man that he thought was a coward, his father, had proven to be courageous in his own way. And he actually had fully come to believe that his father was brave, his father was noble, by facing down Roshone, only to find out that his father was a thief. He had stolen those spheres. Now, he had done it for a good reason, to give his son a future, to give his family a chance to survive. But Kaladin has chosen sides, and he's realizing here that it's not so black and white as he originally had thought. And that's how children think, right? Things are black and white. Kaladin is realizing there's a lot of gray in the world. And Lirin has made a decision to make things work. Probably another reason why he stuck around so long is because he was nervous that if he left, there would be no distraction for Roshone to really do a bunch of digging into the details. So Lirin is complicit in what's been going on here. And we'll see how Kaladin responds to that. How is that going to move Kaladin forward? How is this going to continue to help him develop? We'll find out as the story continues, but chapter 37, entitled Sides, a flashback from Kaladin's life 5.5 years ago, and we will see where it takes him in the future. Thanks so much for watching. Hope you're enjoying the read-through. You can like and subscribe if you're interested, and we'll look forward to getting back together in the next chapter. But until then, take care.